Hey yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Dice, aka Dyson, check it out. Today we got something definitely dope, so if you're a fan of the Monsterverse, check it out. Yo, what is up everybody, it's your boy Dice, aka Dyson, and I am back with a brand new banger of a video, so check it out. Today we got the one and only Skar King, aka King Skar, going up against the adult alpha Skullcrawler. So without further ado, let's get it, let's go, let's do it. The Skullcrawlers are hypervores. They are animalistic creatures that eat and eat and eat until they purge, and then they keep eating. They just keep doing so in a cycle over and over. They are bipeds technically, as they stand on two legs, but they walk with posture that is more like that of a downright walking four-legged quadruped, like a mammal or reptile that walks on all fours. So it was similar to a T-Rex in the way that its snout was directly in front of where its tail was behind it, straight behind it, and this creature would use its prehensile tail and tongue to wrap around and constrict its prey. They have rows upon rows of sharp, dagger-like teeth in their mouth, lining their entire mouth and the roof of their mouths and bottom floors of their mouths on their bottom jaws. And the thing about them is that these creatures actually also can use their tongues to grab their prey and retract back into their mouths, pulling the prey into their mouths. They are hyper aggressive and very, very, very vicious. Fun fact, the largest Skullcrawler on record was the one from GVK that reached 95 meters or 311 feet long. It was the red alpha Skullcrawler, the adult. Skullcrawlers have a rough, tough hide, but it can be pierced by sharp objects, and it can, in fact, be damaged by other titans and megafauna. But the thing is, they do have a durable hide to where they can even survive high caliber machine gun fire and all sorts of explosions and fires. Though a juvenile Skullcrawler will be blown to pieces and killed by a decent-sized explosion. Kong effortlessly dismantles the juvenile Skullcrawlers, but the adult alphas are more of a problem. Now, once grown at 300 some feet tall, the adult Kong would need to fight one more like the red Skullcrawler for it to even pose a challenge. But the thing is, this Kong has already fought Warbats, Skar King, etc., so he is ready and prepared. So, when it comes to these Skullcrawlers, can they actually give Skar King a run for his money? Yes, a Skullcrawler could. So, the thing about that is that Skullcrawlers do of course have the razor sharp claws. They have razor sharp, very dangerous teeth with their powerful jaws, and then a long tail that can be used to wrap around and whip enemies. So on the other hand, Skar King is a 318-foot ape, a simian titan, a great ape, who is very, very intelligent, very cunning and malicious, and very barbarous and barbaric. He's a barbarian that will fight to the death, that does fight to the death, and who in his prime threatened to take over the entire subterranean Hollow Earth and the surface world. Now he just rolls over the subterranean, where he was then freed and breached out to the surface world, where he then attempted again to take over the world with his army of Titanus Kong. The thing is, this time he also of course had his war titan Shimo with him, and the Hollow Earth crystal that controls her in his whip/weapon. This weapon that is a whip he had created from the bones and vertebrae of one or more titans. The Hollow Earth crystal at the end of the whip/ also functions as a blade. Skar King is even faster and more agile than Kong, and he is close in strength. This is very impressive, along with his reaction time and combat speeds relative to his age. He really shouldn't be able to do the things that he's doing, and he really shouldn't be as skilled and good at what he does. As you see here, Skar King finds it laughable that Kong allowed the humans to actually do dental work and other sorts of work on him. He sees Kong as an outsider as he grew up, the descendant of those exiled to Skull Island, the Kongs that did not live in the Hollow Earth and Skar King's tribe. Those who broke off from Skar King's tribe, presumably after the Great Titan War. And in fact, Skar King is so ruthless, he even kills his own kind, as seen here. As we see earlier on in the film, he even has the heads of many great ape titans, many Titanus Kong, planted on stakes all around his lair. He asserts his dominance through pure fear. All of the Titanus Kong seem to be afraid of Skar King, and all of them within the Hollow Earth bow before Skar King. I'm just getting at the possibility that maybe Kong's axe was actually created by Skar King in the distant past during the Great Titan War, as Skar King retrieves it back. Considering the fact that a bloody Kong handprint was left there and a Mega Gojira skull was where Kong retrieved the axe, it's possible that Skar King had used the axe during the Great Titan War. Skar King is in the center of the city as he grabs a building and tears it down with his bare hands and begins demolishing buildings, throwing punches and swinging at them, as he then grabs his whip slash and then slams it into the ground, creating a shockwave and shaking the ground beneath. The Skullcrawler creeps up, attempting to pounce directly on Skar King. He leaps over behind it and begins strangling it with the whip slash directly around its throat. He pulls it back and begins yanking, attempting to completely break its spine as he's choking the Skullcrawler. It then uses its tail to wrap around him and throw him off of it as he goes flying, plummeting to the ground, straight through a skyscraper and directly into the ground, hitting the concrete below as the ground is completely cracked open in a huge crater. Then the Skullcrawler leaps through the air, pouncing on the chest of Skar King, slashing across his chest as he punches it in the side of the face, as he then wraps the whip slash around its throat and yanks it, slicing its throat way across, all the way from ear to ear on its neck, as then he then punches it directly in the center of the chest and then uppercuts it, sending its jaws straight up into the air, as then he kicks its leg out and then grabs it in a headlock and slams it to the ground. He punches the Skullcrawler's head flat to the surface of the ground, knocking it to the ground, laying him out. The monstrous Skullcrawler attempts to keep fighting as it slashes for Skar King's face. He ducks and dodges out of the way, and he grips it up by the throat and slams it back first into the ground. As he then stomps directly for its head, it moves out of the way and leaps onto Skar King's back, wrapping its tail around his waist as it bites down onto the area between his shoulder and his throat, and then chomps down onto his throat. And then Skar King grips its jaws and attempts to break him like Kong before him did, and then he elbows it directly in the ribs and grips it up with both hands around the neck and pulls it off of his back, yanking it to the ground. He then kicks it a distance back, as then he uses the bladed crystal at the end of his whip slash to slice the Skullcrawler's throat even deeper, this time with a direct whipping motion straight at it, as then he kicks it in the side of the head, causing it to fly to the ground. The Skullcrawler leaps through the air directly at him as Skar King whips his whip slash directly at the Skullcrawler, slicing it vertically straight down the length of his chest. He then grips the Hollow Earth crystal blade directly in his palm, as then he pierces it through the skull and brain, killing it instantly. Winner, Skar.